Very good morning to you. If you're just joining us, well, let's get straight to our top story. Law enforcement officials are in Voolslorus this morning, that's here in Gauteng, to search for looted goods. Officials will patrol several areas in that community, and that's where we find Newzroom Africa's Zikhona. Tshona. Zikhona, very good morning to you. So law enforcement continues trying to recover the looted goods amid the criticism that they should not be doing this and the legalities of doing this still in question, but they are doing it nonetheless.
And in fact, the South African Defence Force have just arrived here at Nguni Hostel here in Voolslorus. If you can see behind me, there's already a member of the South African Defence Force, and more of them will be making their way to this community. Speaking to the spokesperson of the force a short while ago, we asked about the heavy-handedness of the police when they are doing these operations, and he says when you are dealing with people who have committed crime, there's only one way you can deal with them, to treat them as though they are criminals. So he says today we can expect similar scenes to what we saw playing out in other parts of the country where law enforcement officials were involved in operations where they were trying to retrieve some of those stolen goods, and as you've mentioned, being criticized for doing so, stripping people of their dignity. We've seen doors being broken down, police officials and as well as the African Defence Force forcing entry into homes to try and retrieve those stolen goods. There's also this provide a slip element of this operation where if the law enforcement officials, for example, come into your home and they find something that appears as though it's new and could have been looted, you are expected to provide a slip of that product. So the operations have just only gotten underway here a short while ago. We are expecting the South African Police Service to join the South African Defence Force on this operation. We know that it is led by the police, so the soldiers got here first, and as far as we understand, the South African Police Service will be making their way to here shortly. They are travelling from Dawn Park, where there was a briefing in as far as how today's operation will go. Which areas will they visit, for example?
Now, any idea how long this operation is going to go on for? Because at some point it's got to come to an end.
It's not clear when these operations will come to an end. Police don't seem to be pulling back, and as far as that criticism that they've received, as I've mentioned, speaking to the South African Defence Force, they have said we can expect those scenes to continue. Today's operation was expected to start at around 8 o'clock this morning, and we're told it's going to go on till about early afternoon. The latest will be in this area is at about 2 p.m. Now, of course, we don't have much detail into the specific areas that the law enforcement will be visiting. For now, we know they will be starting at Nguni Hostel, which is an area that is located to several malls in this area. We know that in Voolslorus, at least 2 shopping centers were affected by the recent public violence, those including Chrisani Mall as well as Voolslorus Plaza. So this is one of the areas that they will be visiting. It's one of the areas that is very close. Carry on going. There's a car. It's one of the areas that is close to these malls, and it's believed that some of the people who may have participated in the looting live here. But let's try and speak to some residents.
Because of Tina Asala, I was the Minangala, I stole years on to it. Marabali, Levating up Pumingan.
We are pointing at that.
Yes, on to it, Minangizele on to it. Marabating up Puming yet. Is there any fairness? Abeko Fanny. Hey, Songa Basaz, which is Sale was there. Why Banga Buzu? We are Pushalagu. Eh? Lindy will lay a son to it. Bonabati au pum eh? Why was Fimbam before singing was there? Would you know again? What's yours again? What's your lever to buoy? One figure and a half also to buoy a food. Eh? I'm not a thief, man. Really, I'm 6 money. ngiziyele enkonzweni nazi ikhiya nazi asenkonzweni bangilindile laba bathi mina ngingaphumi why bangangibuzi ukuthi ngiyaphi and if abangikhulu bangilandele emuva babone la ngiyakhona because akusiwo wonke umuntu ohlala la ehostel and akusiwo wonke umuntu oyithanda le nonsense ezakalana la emhlabeni ngibona I thought amasoja bazoyenza umsebenzi obalulekile but ngathi bafana namaphoyisa yebo
xolo tata masikhulule
kodwa manje ngiyele emuva and ngifuna ukuya le ngase extension 2 ngiyojika mangifika ngale bazothi buyele emuva mangifika ngapha ngibuyele emuva until when
enkosi kakhulu siyaxolisa
all right
masikhulule Utata, they're just saying that he was actually making his way to church and he's been blocked by the South African Defence Force from using one exit from this area. He says he does not live here, he is not a criminal, and also saying that it's not, South Africans are not happy with what they're seeing playing out in this country, and he doesn't like the fact that he's being treated like a criminal. I see behind us, as well as on another street along this way, the South African Police Service have started arriving in this community. As you heard that man, very aggrieved, saying that he is not a criminal, he doesn't live here, he was just someone that was trying to make his way to church. They are waiting for him at church to open the gate or the door, so very aggrieved. But we've heard from the law enforcement officials that they will not be backing off in terms of trying to retrieve stolen goods from this community. We are making our way closer to an area where the South African Police Force has now joined the operation. Please remember, Koli, we'll try as much as we can to not dehumanize any of the people that will be affected by this operation. We'll try as much as we can to uphold people's dignity. We know that law enforcement officials will be going into homes. But of course, there are children here. These are human beings. So let's try and respect their spaces while we also allow the laws to take its course. I'm going to ask my colleague to not go too much into people's homes. Let's not invade their privacy. If the police do retrieve anything, they'll come out and bring the things that they do retrieve to us outside here. But these are people's homes, and I don't think we have any right to be in their homes. I can already see the police have taken out some food products, Lucky Star, it looks like, as well as Movite, that they've taken out from that home.
Zikhona, at least what we are seeing today, the picture you are showing us, at least police they seem to be doing this with a level of dignity. I saw there was a knock before they got themselves inside that first door. In many other instances, though, Zikhona, you have been telling us that if someone is not at home, they simply break down the lock and get inside and retrieve whatever it is that they deem to have been stolen. So in some instances, it does seem that they are conducting this with a certain level of dignity. I mean, it's early morning. Anything could be happening in those homes. People could still be preparing, as the gentleman you spoke to, could be preparing to go to work or to church. And so people may still be, getting themselves ready. So you can't just barge into someone's home.
Yeah. And we've seen that playing out. I was in Alexandra Township 2 weeks ago, and a door was broken down, and the person whose house it was, we were told, was at work, but the law enforcement officials broke the door down and they took, I think it was speakers that was in that house at that time. But it seems as though here they are knocking and they are speaking to people in a somewhat respectful manner, because I know at this house they met with the gentleman who lives here before confiscating some goods from his home. As I've mentioned, we are not going to be going into people's homes. The police will retrieve whatever they can, and we'll see the goods coming out. And we'll try and speak to people as the police move along in this community. We are currently in Nguni Hostel in Voolslorus, an area that is close to at least 2 malls here, and it's believed that some of the people that participated in the looting live in this area.
Zikhona, I think we're going to have to try and leave it there with you, even though the operation still underway. The preoccupation, at least in the minds of some people, Zikhona, will be that if the police and the soldiers are not shown receipts, how then do the police just take it upon themselves to confiscate these goods? Because someone could have genuinely gone and done grocery shopping. I know for a fact in my family we don't keep receipts. For what?
Even people that sat on the street, hawkers, for example, were complaining that at their homes were invaded and their stock was taken, and they didn't know how they were going to try and get those things back. So you can see behind us the police are busy confiscating some brooms. Earlier on they took out food products from this home. We'll try and speak to the gentleman with regards to what actually happened here. How did he get to have so many brooms in one house? But of course people have been disgruntled with the way that the operations have been handled. But of course the police saying that they cannot handle this with kid gloves, because at the end of the day there were elements of criminality that were involved in the recent public violence that we saw playing out in the country. Let's try and speak to some residents. Run away. People are running away, but as soon as we can get people that are willing to speak to us from their homes with regards to what happened, and also just to get a sense from the community, how do they feel about what happened, what led to them to take such extremes in looting and in terms of burning buildings in this area. Yeah. But of course this operation, as I've mentioned, it was expected to start at 8, but we are expecting it to go on until around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So certainly we'll get more voices with regards to this operation here at Nguni Hostel for now in Voolslorus.